However, one team that did lose this week, but you can't really knock them for it until you see the next result, which will make it curious, and we'll certainly talk about that, is University of New England. Of course, University of New England last season, 24-6. The year before that, 27-3. They've been in the conversation, but they've been buried because the NESCAC and the NUMAC and everybody else in New England is pretty darn good. Well, I think maybe New England is finally saying, hey, don't forget about us in Biddeford, Maine. And so we decided to talk to Coach Anthony Ewing earlier than we normally have in the season, but that's because they've gotten a couple of big wins and are off to a terrific start. So joining us on the Hoopsville hotline is their head coach, and it is Anthony Ewing. Coach, welcome to Hoopsville, sir.
Thank you very much. It's great to be on with you, Dave. And, yeah, it's nice to be on in December rather than the normal February, but I do appreciate it either way.
I know you said something, but unfortunately my lovely earpiece popped out of my ear, and I missed the entire thing, but who cares? I'm sure it was eloquent. Just want to say, obviously a great start to the season for you guys. A win over Southern Maine. Granted, a Southern Maine program in transition, but still a good win. A dominating win over Bates, 101-46. Was there free pizza? Was Papa John's sponsor of 100 points or something? I don't know. Big win over Bowdoin, who certainly had a struggle to start this season. Beat them by 20. Then, unfortunately, lose to Tufts, 55-43. Nobody really kind of shrugged. No one disappointed maybe in that. Tufts is a really good team. You beat Wentworth, you beat Western New England. But then the news comes that Bowdoin beat Tufts, and it wasn't close. First off, let's talk about your season. How do you like what you saw?
So far, so good, Dave. We're a little senior heavy this year, which is great, which is different for us to have so many, senior leaders at once. But we've kind of kept to the same game plan here. We're trying to take care of the basketball, really limit turnovers and keep other teams off the glass and try to get more possessions, more shots up than your opponent. It's usually a good formula. And like you mentioned, that Tufts game, that's the one game where we didn't hold to that. We turned it over too much, gave them way too many offensive rebounds. And, if you're going to do that, you better shoot really, really well to win, and we didn't do that either. So, like you said, they're a very, very good team and tough at home, and, that's the one we dropped.
Of course, lost to Tufts at home last season, 63-58 in the second game of the season. Also got a win over Southern Maine. Also got a win over Bowdoin, though it was close. Lost to Bates, interestingly enough, last year. Then went into conference play and struggled just a little bit, though you did lose to Colby out of conference, but lost to Endicott, lost to Roger Williams before making the NCAA tournament and then being unceremoniously, I apologize, but that's the best description I could find, unceremoniously punted from the tournament by FDU Florham. How much has that game and that finish of the season stuck with you and the team as you started the season?
Well, honestly, I would say not at all. We're really focused on this year. We don't talk about defending our conference title or getting back to the tournament. It's all about this year. Every year is different. Every team is different. And we're really focused on what we have to do this year to accomplish what we want to accomplish. And, FDU Florham is a great team. It was a tough place to play. It was, packed, hostile gym. It was a great atmosphere. It was a lot of fun for the kids. And, as always, a learning lesson. And but we're really focused on what we have to do this year to do what we want to do.
You're ranked 10th. Obviously, the rankings came out before you took the loss to Tufts. How their loss to Bowdoin plays into this, we'll see. But what's it like to know you're 10th in the country after putting countless 20-win seasons together and flying under the radar for the most part?
What's it like?
Yeah, I'm saying what's is it euphoria on campus? What's it like with the team? What's it like personally to know that this team is getting this respect nationally?
It's great. Like you said, Dave, we've been grinding away 20-win seasons, and we usually we'll sneak on the back end of the poll late once you get up around 23, 25 wins, and it's nice to be here early and see what happens. We did drop the game at Tufts, and we'll see what happens with that. Losing to the third-ranked team isn't terrible, obviously, and Bowdoin beating Tufts isn't entirely shocking either. Bowdoin is really good. I know they have a couple losses. One of those losses, they didn't have their head coach at the game,
right,
and the other one was to us, and they shot really poorly. but they're great inside, and Bowdoin, and when their guards are hitting, which they have been the last few, they're going to be really, really hard to beat, and I think that'll bear out down the stretch here. But enough about Bowdoin. We're really pleased with where we're at and the attention we're getting. You know, like we talk about what the polls mean, and it just means you have to work hard, and the target gets bigger. And you know, our kids don't shy away from that. We don't shy away from the expectations. We talk about them. We talk about what every game means and how it fits into the big picture. And we don't ignore it and just put our head down and work. We know, and it's one of our things we talk about, Dave, is being able to function with pressure. So we don't shy away from the pressure because, you know, if you can't learn to function with it when you start to feel it end of the season, you won't react real well. So we try to play with that pressure every game.
You know, highest ranking ever at number 10. Just to be fair, number 16 in the WBCA USA Today coaches poll. Obviously, you've had success there. 7 straight, I think it is, 20-win seasons, which is only one of 6 programs in the country with that streak actively going. Obviously, the conference is the conference, and I know there's a lot of them tuning in from the conference, but the conference hasn't exactly been, you know, it's not the NEWMAC, and it's certainly not the NESCAC. But you guys have proven yourselves. So how much is it about shaking off what maybe a lot of people have as predetermined thoughts on how good you may be and how good the conference may or may not be?
Yeah, I think the conference is really good. You know, and I'm just saying that because we're on the air. The conference is real solid. It's extremely solid, and I think it bears out where you look at our conference games, and we're not. There's some blowouts, but we're not blowing people out. You know, week in, week out. We have tough games, and then when we play these high, you know, ranking teams out of conference, we do well there too. So it'd be different if it was just like a cakewalk getting through our conference season. It really isn't. And we do schedule the toughest teams we can schedule out of conference. Like you mentioned, Southern Maine. We play 3 NESCAC schools every year. St. Joseph's is one of the top teams in the GNAC. And we're going down to Puerto Rico next week. We're going to play Wisconsin Whitewater and Concordia, Wisconsin, 2 undefeated teams currently. So we'll see where we're at. You know, it's a constant battle for respect. But I think, you know, we've had moderate success in the in-state tournament, and it's not like we're the CCC team that gets the bid and gets wiped out first round. You know, it's not who we are. And it's not really where our conference is. 2 out of the last 4 years, we've been a 2-bid conference.
Mm-hmm.
That which kind of gets, you know, that's also under the radar. So, you know, I think it's stronger than it looks, and you know, I'd be happy to put the CCC against any conference, you know, like an ACC Big Ten Challenge type deal, and we'll go head to head and see where we're at.
There you go. I don't mind that idea either. I'd love to see it. You talk about your team, and obviously senior laden. You've got 4 seniors on it, and two of them are your top 3 scorers. Led by Alana Vos, 14.5 points a game, 5 rebounds a game, shoots 36 from the floor. Junior center Alicia Brown is second on the team at 13.5 points a game, nearly 5 rebounds a game. By the way, I should mention Vos obviously shoots outside a lot, but Brown shoots 49% from the floor. And then the other senior, Lauren Hayden, is your third player on the stat sheet, 9.2 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, and obviously hands out second most assists on the team. You certainly got a nice trio there, but when you look at the stats, there's a number of players who played 6 games, and there's a number of players contributing in other ways.
Yeah, that's really who we are, Dave. We're like a couple of the coaches have spoken tonight on the show. You know, different people each night stepping up. We're not a one-trick pony where, like, Alana's our leading scorer. If she doesn't shoot well, which she hasn't in the last couple of games. She shot really poorly for her. She is one of the best pure shooters you'll see. She shot real poorly, and we've managed to. Other people have managed to step up. You know, Megan Gribben down there, who hasn't been scoring. She's like 4 a game, but her assist turnover ratio is what you want to see out of a point guard. She's always one of the tops in the nation. I think she was top 5 in the country last year in assist turnover, and Sadie DePiro, who doesn't get a lot of publicity because she's always in the middle of the pack on a lot of those stats, but if you look, she's played the most minutes of everybody. She's the kid you just kind of have to have out there. She's kind of like the heart and soul of the team. A lot of times she's the emotional center of the team, which is immensely important for us, and we're getting contributions from a lot of different people.
Want to talk a little bit about the roster. Is something that I know, having spent some of my adolescence in Maine. You have a lot of Maine representatives on this squad. No surprise, being in Biddeford. You also have some from Massachusetts, New Hampshire, one who apparently got lost from Virginia. Lauren, we need to talk. I'm not sure how you go from Chantilly, Virginia to Biddeford, Maine, but Lauren, we'll talk someday. But how much is the Maine state tournament, the East and West in February, and then the state championships, how much do you and the other coaches in Maine at Colby and Bates and Southern Maine and elsewhere tap into those tournaments? And how much do you take advantage of being able to go to, was it Augusta for you guys, or is it Portland? And I know it's Bangor for the East. How much do you tap into those and take advantage of those timings to find players for your teams?
Well, I'll be completely honest. At that point, when you're looking at the seniors and it's that you're late in the year, you're just going to see the kids, to support the kids that maybe have committed or just about to commit. But if you're lucky, and we've been fortunate we're still playing at that point when those tournaments go in Maine, they happen. We're still in practice. If you've made postseason, and I can't practice during the day just because I'll be missing too many kids from class, but. So I don't get to go to all of them that I would love to go, but when I do get to go, you do get to see your peers, and it's just really nice to see them. But it's really, and Maine, as you probably know, Maine high school basketball it's big time. It's well attended. It's a big deal, and it's nice to go and see the kids perform in that atmosphere. But this AAU tournaments is where we're identifying the prospects mostly, and then. You're just going to support the kids you're recruiting at those things. Maine
basketball is like Indiana basketball. People don't realize it. It's deep in Maine. It's something I found very interesting, especially how big hockey is. Basketball in Maine is a big deal. Hey, one other thing I wanted to talk about was your schedule, because between now and January 5th, you will play 2 games. Unfortunately, they're in Puerto Rico. I really feel bad for you from Maine playing Puerto Rico. Of course, you'll play Wisconsin Whitewater. Not too shabby. You also play Concordia, Wisconsin. So, interesting enough, Maine and Wisconsin schools getting together in Puerto Rico. Interesting quirk with your schedule. You have a month here where you only play 2 games. How do you keep it? It's been a common question in the last week to coaches. How do you keep everybody focused? How do you keep on task?
Well, it's trust. It's just trust, and you hope that, right now the kids are entering finals week. Here at UNE, it's a little bit earlier than a lot of the schools, so we don't play or practice this week at all. The kids are going to be working out on their own, doing their own thing, keeping in shape, and then we'll bring them back, and we'll have a couple of sessions before we head to Puerto Rico, and we're going to play 2 fantastic teams without a lot of lead-up prep. And then they'll go back home again, and then we'll bring them back for a few days before that first game, second semester. So you really got to trust that the identity of your program has trickled down to all the younger kids, and they're going to understand that they got to, keep in tip-top shape and ready to go. So when we get back, and because those are big games down in Puerto Rico, the kids understand it's not just a vacation for us to go, get some sun. We have a couple big games to play against top opponents, and either, like you say, it's a respect thing. We'll be fighting for respect, and hopefully. People from around the country will understand what we're about.
Of course, Whitewater currently the 20th ranked team in the country. And I have those games down as 9:00 games. Is that the case?
I think one is at 10 a.m. and one's at noon.
That's for you guys. Yeah. So backing up, I'm right. That's East Coast. It's 9:00, and then 11:00. Still early though.
Yeah, real early. There's a lot of games. There's a lot of teams going down from the Division II teams, men's teams. There's a bunch of games going on, and we just happen to draw some of the early games. The kids are real bummed out because that'll leave them the rest of the day to enjoy Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
but
feel horrible. Really, I
do. Terrible.
Yeah, terrible. That's the right word. Terrible. And then they go home for Christmas. I mean, horrible. Just horrible.
Terrible.
Horrible coaching. Horrible scheduling here, Coach. Hey, well, I appreciate you taking the time. Certainly off to a tremendously good start on what has already been good seasons under your wing anyway. Obviously, Whitewater and Concordia coming up on the 20th and 21st, and then you get into conference play, or get back into conference play on January 5th against Gordon. As you probably have heard on the show, and as you probably know from past appearances, I always give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuning in?
Well, again, I want to thank you. We appreciate the attention. And, I know you just got back from Rochester and you're headed to Texas in a bit. And we would love, we'd love to have you up to Maine. I know Pat came through.
Yep.
And he was gracious enough to stop in and see us at UNE. But we'd love to roll the red carpet out for you and have you up to Maine for a game and really, get back to your main roots there you were talking about.
Yeah. I promise you I will look into it. I almost pulled it off last year. I have beeped at you guys as I've gone by on vacation, especially last Christmas. I beeped and said hello. There's also a trip to Vegas coming in here, so I got to figure out some details. But trust me, New England and Maine, part of that list. I'll see what I can do. But thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Anthony Ewing, once again, from the 10th-ranked Nor'easters. By the way, that's the other thing I love about that team, Nor'easters. Who didn't? How is there only one school that came up with their mascot being Nor'easters anywhere between Maine and Maryland? It's a no-brainer, folks. Anyway, congratulations to a good start from them. When we come back...
I grew up doing karate, and I was a black belt at 12. It was great, but I was injury-prone. I was always seeing physical therapists, and I would see what they did and ask why they did it. So I decided to become a PT myself. I visited UNE in 9th grade and I fell in love. There are so many research opportunities and lab classes that you'll only find here. UNE is such a friendly community, the students and the faculty, and that's what really drew me in the most.